Hello guys, today in this video, we are going to help you to find out the best gaming TV in the market. I made this list based on my personal opinion and I tried to list them based on their quality, durability, customer review and more. If you want to see their price and find out more information about them, you can check our links in the description below. Number 8. Sony XR50X90J. The X90J's pictures aren't exactly shy and retiring, and that's fine by us. Exceptional amounts of brightness make it onto the screen with startling consistency, delivering some of the most flat-out punchy and bright HDR pictures we've ever seen on a 50-inch TV. It's not just brightness for brightness' sake, either. Sony is unashamedly using it to deliver as uncompromising an HDR experience as it can within its backlight limitations. So daylight HDR scenes look more natural and realistically bright by far than they do on any other current TV in its size and class. Even more impressively, the XR50X90J has enough headroom with its brightness to ensure that the brightest highlights of already bright HDR images enjoy that extra step up in intensity that usually only the most premium TVs provide. The price you pay for this superb brightness is slightly elevated black levels and occasional backlight blooming. But neither issue is a huge deal breaker, and you can also add excellent motion processing, natural colors and decently dynamic sound to the list of the Sony's strong points. It's also got two HDMI 2.1 ports that support 4K at 120Hz, making it a good option for next-gen gamers. VRR support is due to be added, too, although this has been promised for a while. As well as the 50-inch model, we've also tested the X90J at 65 inches, and that's a very solid gaming TV, too. Number 7. Sony XR55A80J. The A80J might well be the best performance per pound TV that Sony has ever produced, boasting most of the brilliance of the flagship A90J at a much lower price. It's actually better than the LGs and Samsungs in this list when it comes to watching movies and TV shows, and only ends up below them in this list because it's slightly behind in terms of next-gen gaming specs. The good news is that the A80J does have HDMI 2.1 sockets that support 4K at 120Hz and ALLM, but there are only two of them and one of them also handles ERC-ARC, potentially limiting you to connecting just one HDMI 2.1 source if you need to use the other for your sound system. VRR is missing at this stage, too. Sony says this will be added via a firmware update, but said update keeps getting delayed. Finally, while the A80J's 4K at 120Hz feature works fine with a PS5, it causes problems with an Xbox Series X if Dolby Atmos sound is also enabled. It also appears to disable ALLM, which works fine when 60Hz is selected. It's also worth noting that to enable 4K at 120Hz, Dolby Vision is disabled, so you won't get Dolby Vision from the Xbox Series X's built-in apps unless you first switch the TV from its enhanced format mode to its enhanced format mode. You then have to switch back if you want to play a game in 4K at 120Hz. With an LG OLED, you don't have to jump through any of these hoops, it simply works. Plenty of caveats, then, but none that should be of concern to PS5 gamers, and the A80J's superb picture and sound performance translates very well indeed to 4K and HD games. Number 6. Samsung QN75QN900A. You certainly don't need an 8K TV for gaming. What with there being no 8K games or even consoles out there, but the extra resolution does actually help when you get into very large screen sizes. That's because it increases pixel density which, when combined with excellent upscaling such as that of the QN900A, results in a sharper, crisper picture than you get from similarly sized 4K models. The QN900A also boasts all of Samsung's top gaming tech. All four of its One Connect boxes HDMI are 2.1 certified, with full support for ALLM, 4K at 120Hz and VRR. There's an HGIG setting, too. A lack of Dolby Vision is the only disappointing omission, and that's not a big deal for games. Yet. Samsung's also created the Game Bar, A pop-up menu that gives you quick access to various game-related features and delivers live information on the signal being received, including the VRR format and frame rate. Input lag is astonishingly low enough, in fact, that you can afford to sacrifice a few milliseconds to enable some gaming-specific motion smoothing, should you so wish. To top it all off, this is one of Samsung's many LED backlit Neo QLED models. It goes brilliantly bright and, thanks to thousands of individual zones, has excellent contrast, too. If that makes it sound like a bit of a blunt instrument, the opposite is actually true. The QN900A is just as capable of delivering nuance and subtlety as it is awesome punch and vibrancy. This is a truly exceptional TV that will reward those willing to sacrifice the money and space. Number 5. LG OLED 55CX. Not only is the LG CX a superb all-round performer for everything you watch, it's got all of the gaming credentials you could possibly need. All three current formats of VRR are supported, as are ALLN and 4K at 120Hz. Input lag is an almost impossibly fast 13 milliseconds. 2. There's simply no better specified TV when it comes to gaming. Of course, it's got the usual perfect black depth that you get from OLED TVs, but there's greater shadow detail than LG's 2019 models could manage, ensuring you're less likely to be caught out by an enemy camping in the gloom. And while the set isn't as ultimately bright as a Samsung QLED, it produces surprisingly punchy highlights in otherwise dark scenes, which makes for some brilliantly exciting imagery. If a 55-inch TV is a bit too big for your room, you can now buy a 48-inch version of the CX. Number 4. Samsung QN50 QN98. Just because a TV is small by today's increasingly expansive standards doesn't mean it has to be boring. The 50-inch Samsung QE50 QN90A is a case in point. Here we have a relatively diminutive screen that throws everything but the proverbial kitchen sink at delivering a premium picture and sound performance to rival the best that its much bigger brethren have to offer. For starters, this is a Neo QLED model, which means it combines quantum dots with a mini LED backlight. This results in a supremely bright and vibrant picture with truly excellent contrast. That's a particularly tasty combination for gaming. While only one of the HDMIs is 2.1 certified, it does support all of the key gaming technologies, including 4K at 120Hz, VRR, and ALLM, and there's an HGIG mode for more accurate HDR tone mapping. Images look exceptionally detailed and crisp with both video and gaming sources, fully selling the screen's native 4K resolution despite the relatively small 50-inch screen size, and the sound is good, too, with good punch and weight. This is a great buy if you want a premium gaming experience at a smaller size, but do also check out the LG OLED 48C1. Those looking for a larger screen might be interested to read that the QN90A is available in a wide variety of sizes, but be aware that these all appear to use a different panel type, so performance may well vary. Number 3. LG OLED 65G1. For the last few years, the C-Class model has been the sensible choice of each new LG OLED range. Until now, it has been the most affordable model with the latest panel and picture processing tech. Go further up the range and you might get better sound and a fancier design, but you won't get a better visual performance. For 2021, though, LG introduced a new OLED Evo panel that promises increased brightness and sharpness, and to get the Evo panel you have to step up to the G1. That's slightly disappointing because you also end up paying extra for a rather niche design. The G1 is designed to be wall-mounted, to the extent that there's no stand or feet in the box that you may not want. Still, if the design works for you and you don't mind forking out the extra $500, the G1 is undoubtedly the best OLED that LG has ever produced. It takes the picture performance of last year's GX and CX and improves upon it in almost every way, particularly in terms of brightness, sharpness, and detail. That makes it a seriously stunning picture performer. It's also got all of the gaming features we've come to expect from LG OLEDs, For 40 gigabits per second HDMI 2.1 sockets with support for 4K at 120Hz, VRR, and ALLM, and HGIG mode for more accurate contrast with HDR games, a sub-13 ms input lag, and a new game optimizer that allows for more game-related fine-tuning and puts all options at your fingertips. Sound is less strong, but if you are always planning to combine your new TV with a separate sound system and the design works for you, the G1 should be seriously considered. Number 2. Samsung UN55P U8000. Samsung's 8 series has traditionally been positioned just below the company's glamorous range-topping CLEDs. In the past, it has proven to be the sweet spot where picture quality and price intersect to maximum effect. And so it proves once more. The UN55P U8000 is astonishingly good value. For comparatively very little money you're getting a 55-inch TV that performs brilliantly, particularly with HDR content, and boasts the best, most app-laden operating system available at any price. It is missing support for VRR and 4K at 120Hz, but ALLM is on board and input lag is vastly lower than that of many sets costing 4 times as much. If you're a gamer on a tight budget, we've not found a better option. Number 1. LG OLED 48C1. LG's new C1 isn't a huge improvement on the CX it replaces, but it didn't really need to be. The picture performance and feature set were already exemplary, and LG has slightly improved the former with its new cinematic movement motion processing and enhanced decontouring feature, and slightly improved the latter with a better menu system and a more complete app selection. As before, the C1 boasts 440 gigabits per second HDMI 2.1 sockets with support for ARC, 4K at 120Hz, ALLM, and VRR. VRR is supported in all 3 current formats, the most important HDMI VRR format, NVIDIA G-Sync, and AMD FreeSync Premium. There's an HGIG option in the menus, too, which delivers more accurate contrast with HDR games. Since launch, LG has even added support for 4K at 120Hz with Dolby Vision. LG also now has a dedicated game optimizer menu that gives you quick access to all of those game-related settings as well as features that adjust gaming picture performance, either based on the genre of the game you're playing or through manual tweaking of the detail in the brightest and darkest parts of the picture. In short, there's no better specified gaming TV out there, and it's great with movies and TV, too. Do also check out the G1 below, though, as it offers all of the same features and also boasts a new, brighter OLED panel. We've tested the C1 in its 48-inch and 65-inch sizes. It's also available as a 55-inch, 77-inch, and 83-inch model.